again, and welcome to the Author Roundup. This special segment of the Book Connection Show showcases emerging indie authors who join us for a discussion of their newly published books. Join us for a conversation with our next guest author. Hello, welcome to the show. I'm happy you're here today because today I have a self-published author who has published the book Incompetent but Hopeful: Finding God's Purpose Through Loss and Holding On to Hope. Her name is Morgan Goodwin, and she is an author, speaker, and founder of the Goodwin Family Project, Hopeful Heart Initiative. Her book blends personal storytelling, faith, and reflection to support women and families who have been impacted by pregnancy and infant loss. And so she's here to share her story, and we want to welcome Morgan. Hi, Morgan. How are you?
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting
Yeah,
me.
of course. So your book is called Incompetent but Hopeful. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yes, so Incompetent but Hopeful is about my pregnancy journey through motherhood. I struggled with infertility for some time, which ultimately I ended up getting pregnant, going through using a fertility specialist, and then I ended up losing my pregnancy because I had another condition called incompetent cervix. And so
Mm,
basically with that condition, my cervix cannot hold a normal pregnancy. Halfway through my pregnancy, around basically 19, 20 weeks, my cervix starts to shorten, and then my body proceeds to go into labor silently, and I don't feel
mm.
anything, no
Oh my
contractions,
gosh.
no anything. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the hospital, having to do emergency cerclages and just a whole crazy load of things that I went through. And all of
Mm,
this is detailed in my book. I also provide lots of facts on the condition that I have and
hmm
all of the infertility struggles that I dealt with and the procedures that I had to get done. So it kind of lists out everything in chronological order on everything that I did and how everything happened to me.
hmm
I also propose, I have reflection questions at the end of each chapter, those for my readers who have also dealt with infertility or loss, whether it be a loved one, and give me a really good gift to give to somebody who has just recently lost an infant or had dealt with stillbirth or has dealt with a late pregnancy loss. And so I just wanted to make sure that I gave everything that I got, all of my feelings, I got it out on paper,
hmm
and just to let everybody know, or every woman who is going through the same thing, know that you're not alone and your feelings are valid.
hmm
And so I did all of that, and all of that is in my books. It's a
hmm
long story,
Yeah. And
and
so I understand where the title comes from then, incompetent,
mhm, but
cervix, you said, but
hopeful.
hopeful.
Yes.
So you definitely picked a great, I feel like, title. How did you come up with that title? And what does that phrase, mean to you personally?
So I came up with the title because, like I said, I was diagnosed with incompetent cervix.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a, I don't know, a hurtful term,
Mm-hmm.
incompetent, meaning
Yeah.
you're this woman, you're supposed to give birth and be fruitful, and it's supposed to just happen, and then for me, it didn't happen. And so, incompetent, but hopeful. I'm still hopeful that God is going to bless me to become a mother because this is what I wanted. I prayed about it, and I just
Mm-hmm.
have kept my faith
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that I would one day become a mother. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how I ended up coming up with the title. I
Mm-hmm.
actually started a blog called Incompetent but Hopeful. And
Mm-hmm.
in my blog, I would basically write out all of my thoughts and feelings, and I will also explain everything that happened to me and go through Every Sunday, I would basically make a post and just update everybody and my followers and my supporters who learned about my condition and learned about our loss. And everybody was so supportive with that. And so eventually, I ended up starting to write this book. And
Okay.
then that's how we got the title. I
Uh-huh.
already had it from my blog.
Okay, cool. And was there a specific moment in your journey where you felt, like called to turn your loss or pain into something that could help others?
Yes, while the journey was not easy and I had a lot of storm in my journey, I knew that I could write my testimony and put it all on paper and in a book so that I can
Mm-hmm.
help other women going through what I was going through. And
Hmm.
so after losing my first son in 2017 to incompetent cervix, we had lost twins the very next year, same month.
Oh my gosh.
Same 20 in my 20th week, and we lost our twin boys the
Mm-hmm.
next year in 2018. And so the very next time I ended up getting pregnant in 2019, I was like, man, I felt a lot more confident because I had a procedure done to be able to help me carry my kids without worrying about my cervix shortening, and it worked. And during this time, after I got that surgery, it's called a transabdominal cerclage, and for short, they call it a TAC, TAC. And
Hmm.
so, with my TAC in place, I felt a lot more
Hmm.
confident in this pregnancy, which basically signaled me like, man, I got to write my story, and I got to share this story because it's powerful,
Hmm.
powerful.
Okay. And so you write about holding on to faith, in the midst of, like heartbreak with your children. What did your relationship with God look like during those dark moments?
During the dark moments, my relationship with God I still held strong. Like I questioned everything that was going on, which is
Mhm.
absolutely normal, even though
Yeah.
it's technically you're not supposed to, but it's okay to have questions. And that's what I basically also write about in my book. It's okay that I questioned God. I just wanted to know, even though
Mhm.
I wouldn't probably never know the answer, or maybe I might learn what those answers were. Um, but my faith stayed strong, and I had a really good support system around me, such as
Mhm.
my husband and our pastor. And my husband used to always just tell me, baby, everything's going to be okay. It's going to happen for us. You're not incompetent. Like you can do this.
Mhm.
And we just stayed strong. And with his
Mhm.
support and with everybody's support around us, I just kept my faith and leaned on to not my own understanding and just walk the walk that he told me I needed to walk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have a supportive partner in that, scenario and supportive system that you've had, which is great. So did your understanding of God's purpose shift through your experiences with loss?
Definitely. I think my faith skyrocketed even
During
more.
that. Hmm.
The unknowing, and I don't know, it hurts me as a person that's super organized, and I want everything to go the right way, and I want it to
Yeah.
look like this. I want to be pregnant this year. I want to have my baby this year. I don't
Yeah.
want to be pregnant in the summer. And all of these things was very crushing to me, but in the midst of it, I learned patience.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned patience so much that when I had my baby girl, I was so patient, I was so loving, and I was so grateful, and I didn't take anything for granted that I feel like with all of everything that I've been through, the whole storm, it just allowed me to evolve into a better person so that I can be a better mother. Because who's to say if I didn't deal with those losses, maybe I would have had a bad attitude, or
Hmm.
just maybe I would have took took it for granted and
Mm-hmm.
didn't give the love and the emotional support that I give now to my children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm grateful for my journey. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, my faith has skyrocketed after
Mm-hmm.
going through this tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah, and like your book emphasizes that God is still present even in those dark seasons, which is relevant to you and your story. How can someone begin to feel, the presence when they feel like that brokenness or they feel like they're in like a really dark spot?
I honestly think that when you are in those dark times, if you're alone, it's very, very hard to
Mm-hmm.
um, get past or heal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important to be able to talk about what you're
Yeah.
feeling and be able to have somebody to lean on
Mm-hmm.
during those times because I mean, honestly, sometimes it's not enough just talking to God because sometimes it's hard to hear back. You know,
Yeah.
our feelings can be clouded and judged, like our judgment can be off. And so it's really important to have somebody that you trust to be able to get you through those dark times. With God's help, they basically, He would be through them
Mm-hmm.
teaching you to not give up and that you can do this and you can make it through. So
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that having a really good support system is going to, during those dark times, um, be able to help.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to note that, something important to note in your book is this book is not just for those experiencing loss, but also for those supporting them. What do you wish more people understood about walking alongside someone in grief?
I think it's really important to for somebody who hasn't experienced this type of loss of like a pregnancy loss or infant loss to be able to read and understand on the other side the feelings and the thoughts that goes through the mothers and the
Yeah.
families who have experienced it to be able to comfort them better, or even if you don't know what to say, you kind of learn by putting yourself in their shoes
Mm-hmm.
and trying the best that you can to support them the best ways that you can. And the best way to be able to support them is reading a book like Incompetent but Hopeful, because
Mm-hmm.
it basically tells the journey of somebody, me, who experienced it and my feelings and thoughts, and let them know that their loved one who is going through this is also going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And what was it like when you had that loss initially? What was it like for your support system, or how did they support you in those moments afterwards? And in what ways were they helpful for you?
So I was actually with our first son in 2017. I was actually supposed to have a baby shower 2 weeks
Mm,
after our loss. We
mm,
experienced our loss in the hospital, devastated. And I wanted to cancel everything, and everybody had their flights because my family is from Georgia, and at the time I was
mm,
living in Dallas, Texas area in Dallas, and so everybody was just like, no, we're still going to come. We want to support
mm,
you. We want to love on you. And we want to make
mm,
sure that you're okay. We need to see you. And that right there is how everybody ended up supporting me. Everybody still came. Everybody got on the flight. Everybody drove down to see me. We all hung out at my house. We just kumbaya, cried,
mm,
loved, hugged, and watched movies, and everybody was just so comforting. And just to
mm,
know that everybody still came out for me was very supportive for me.
mm. And so what do you hope a woman who is currently grieving takes away from your book?
A woman who is currently grieving, by reading my book, I would love for them to take away that they are not alone. Like every feeling that you have is valid. Everything that you're going through, it does not feel good. And it's so hard to relate to other people on the outside who has not gone through the same thing that you've gone through. I hope that you're able to realize that you're not alone and that you can join support groups and find groups who have of people and women who have gone through the same thing that you've been through.
Hmm.
And I also, my book doubles as a journal. And so with the reflection questions, you can actually journal and write your thoughts out, things that you hadn't thought about. And then years later down the line, you can go back and read 2 years later, and you'll really see how much growth and healing you've done over the years. Or maybe you see how much you haven't healed. And then you should reevaluate and maybe go get some help. And
Hmm.
it's okay to get help, and it's okay
Yeah.
to find support and a support team for you.
And is this a type of book that you wish that you had, during your grief, your grief journey?
Absolutely. My
Yeah.
book, Incompetent but Hopeful, I wish I had a book like this. I needed to know that I wasn't alone in the sense that I've dealt with so many losses just to think, oh my gosh, this is happening to me again. This is happening to
Hmm.
me again in different ways. And now I'm struggling with infertility, or now I went through IVF and the embryo didn't implant, and it just the whole boatload of things. It seemed like my life was crashing. And so
Yeah.
if I saw and found somebody who wrote a book with all of these things that I've been through, it would have definitely given me a little bit of peace of mind and hope.
Hmm.
Because that's the goal is I want to give hope to others out there who are struggling with this.
Hmm. And looking back, how has this journey shaped who you are today, this writing journey?
This writing journey has shaped me to how I am and how I move today because it taught me faith. It taught me that I was resilient, that I was good enough, and I was powerful enough and strong enough, and that I could do it.
Hmm.
I gave my own self hope, even on the times that I wanted to give up and quit writing this book because I'm like, this is too hard. It's just too hard.
Hmm.
And then I had my support team. And my support team was like, how's your book going? Okay, we need to set goals for you to finish your book. And I'm like,
Aw.
you know what? You're absolutely right. I got to finish this book. Yes, why aren't you writing this book? You got to share your story. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to share my
There
story.
you
I'm going to
go.
finish this book.
And so you mentioned earlier that you started writing a blog, and those blog posts turned into or started the whole process and journey of you writing an actual published book.
Yes.
So when did you start writing, your book to be published?
I first started writing my book in 2020 when after my daughter was born. Obviously, you go through the whole newborn stage where you're consumed. But when she turned about 3 months old, that's when I got to writing. I
Oh,
started writing
wow.
my book. I pulled out my laptop. She would do tummy time. I just
Aw, wow.
started writing. I would
Right.
go back to my blogs to reflect, which led me to say, hey, I need to put reflection questions in here so that other women who are going through these loss, they
Hmm.
can write their thoughts out, write their feelings out, and then come back to it because it was very helpful for me to write my book just because you can kind of get so far away from like removing yourself from trying to remember everything that tragic that
Yeah.
happened to you that it was so helpful for me to go back and I was able to relive those moments and remember my feelings. And yeah, that's how it started.
Hmm.
I just started writing. I wrote maybe about mm, I want to say within 3 months I had half of my book done.
Oh, wow.
The other half
Postpartum.
I couldn't finish because I was now pregnant again. Now I need to see what's going to happen, and
Uh-huh.
I ended up having another baby and then another baby. And then I'm
Oh
like,
my
my
gosh.
story is still going. And
Oh my gosh.
eventually I ended up finishing it. And I said, okay, if I have another one after this third child, then I'll go back and revise. But yes, so that's
Got
why
it done.
it sort of took a long time because
Oh my God. Well, rightfully so. You have, when do you find the time? But you made the time. That's
I
great.
made the
You made the
time.
time. Yeah. And so how does it feel to have your book finally, published and complete?
It feels so good to have my book published. I'm so proud of myself. Everybody tells me all the time, and they're like so proud of me, and I'm proud of myself. I can't even believe it.
Hmm.
I never saw this in my future at all. It's funny
Hmm.
because when I was a little girl, I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian. I love animals so much. And being in at the University of Texas on a track scholarship, going through the biology route, it was not feasible with my track schedule, and I was missing a lot of classes to where I ended up having to Q drop a course, a chemistry course. And from there, my counselors were just like, I don't know if this is gonna work because it's cutting into your classes that you need and you're not doing very well. I think we need to try switching gears to get you in a degree, basically, that will allow me to be able to make good grades and
Hmm.
finish. And they were like, "Oh, you speak so well. You're really, really good at getting your thoughts and words onto paper. How about going a communications route?" And I was like, okay. And so I ended up going communications and joined the public relations school. And I got my bachelor's of science in public relations.
Wow.
And I learned how to write there. Obviously, it's a little bit different than writing for a published book.
Hmm.
But I learned how to tell a story through articles and newsletters and news releases and press releases. And so with my memoir, it basically was in chronological order, super easy. Let me jot my notes down, get my outline done, and I'm
And
just
it's
so
done.
proud of
Yeah.
myself.
And what was your writing experience like?
My writing experience while writing
Yeah.
Incompetent but Hopeful was a pretty smooth writing experience. The only hiccups that I would have is when I would go back and have to relive those moments,
Oh
get them
yeah, I
on
bet.
paper, and then adjusting back to reality.
Mm.
So
Oh
I
my.
wrote things that were in the past that were very traumatic to me and my mental space. And so having to transition from writing my book, super sad. I'm crying I'm tearing up. I'm crying while I'm writing this book. And then I
Yeah.
leave out of my office and I got happy kids running to me, mommy, mommy. And so it's like this constant switch of like, I got to get out of this rut. Like I have to get out of this um just to be I'm feeling like I have to be strong for my kids. I don't want them seeing me cry and different things like that. But ultimately I ended up giving them a talk and letting my oldest know, who could understand, that she has lost her brothers. She has brothers that are older
Mhm.
than her, and just teaching her everything that happened to me and sharing those things with her, it helped me be able to feel better
Oh yeah.
walking out the room. Now I'm sad and she's comforting me, and I'm like, oh my God, this is life. This is good.
Oh.
And so I think that that was like a really hard part. But other than that, it was very smooth,
Hmm.
the writing part, because I
Hmm.
can get my thoughts out and I can write and then go back and read and edit, because we learned all of this in school. And so it wasn't a challenge for me.
Okay. And which part of your book felt the most meaningful or healing to write?
The most meaningful part of my book was the end. Um, it's funny enough, I went through so much tragedy, the storm, 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 and then finally being able to write about the rainbow at the end of my storm.
Mm.
And so, writing about my daughter's, when I was pregnant with her, and writing about her personality and how she was
Oh.
after I had her, and just the disbelief, the surrealism that we were living in. It just did not feel real for a really long time. And then
Mhm.
getting pregnant again and having another smooth pregnancy and getting pregnant again and having another smooth pregnancy. That was the best part. That was the best part.
Mhm. And what are they, how old are they now? Your
So I
kids?
have my oldest, Marae. She's our only girl. She just turned 6 in February. My middle child, he is turning 4 in May, and then our youngest just turned 2 in February.
Oh my gosh, so
Got a pretty
sweet.
full house. I'm
Full
in the
house,
midst of
yeah.
it with these ages. They're like back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
They're exciting though. They're super fun. They're super respectful, and I love being a parent. I
It's the
love
best.
being a mother, and I love the support that I get from my husband
Yeah.
as well. So,
Yeah, that's super important. Yeah. Well, what's the nicest feedback or review you've received about your book so far?
oh, the nicest feedback that I had was I have a few people who wrote back and they just mentioned that they were so thankful for the blog area, the reflection
Oh,
questions,
mm-hmm.
because it really helped
Yeah, that
them
was a good
be able
idea.
to, yeah, to figure out where they struggle with the most and where they wanted to heal the most, and allowed them to be comfortable in their feelings. And that was one of the most feedback that I got was they loved that journal part.
Nice. And so what advice as a, published author now, what advice would you give to a writer working on his or her first book?
The advice I would probably that the advice that I would give to a new author is one, don't give up. You can do it. Two is always start out with your outline and your draft. Visualize how you see your book coming. Um, have a centralized theme of what you're trying to get out of this and what you want your readers to leave
Mm.
reading after reading your book. You want your readers to know what do you want them to leave with. And I think that's the most important thing to start with, and that way you can clearly get your thoughts across because you know what angle you want to go, you know what you want to accomplish, you know what you want your readers to walk away with.
Okay. And so what are your personal and professional goals that you have for this year?
This year, personal goals. I'm dealing with a little bit of secondary infertility, but I'm not gonna let it stress me. You know, we've been through this before. I'm just gonna keep my faith. So I definitely do want to have another baby, personally. I would also like to spread more awareness on this topic of infertility and pregnancy loss,
Mm-hmm.
with public speaking
Yeah.
engagements,
Okay.
speaking at on different panels and at different summits around. I would also like to host a couple of book readings and book signings for my recently published book. And business wise, I would like to spread more awareness about my foundation, the Goodwin Family
Mm.
Project. Our Hopeful Heart initiative, we basically raise funds and financially support mothers and families who have just recently lost an infant, stillbirth, or late pregnancy loss. We help with burial costs and
Oh, wow.
cremation costs. A lot of people do not know that after you experience loss, you have to basically decide on if you're going to cremate, if you're going to donate your baby to the hospital, or if you're going to don't do a communal burial where you don't get your urn and ashes back. And so, what we basically want to do is we want to provide a space for families to be able to heal without worrying about the financial cost of burial and cremation services, and so that you can get your baby back or bury your baby with peace and with dignity. And
Mm.
so that's what I'm building right
Oh
now.
my gosh. When did you found that? When did that start?
I just founded the Goodwin Family Project this year.
Oh, nice.
So January of 2026, I founded this nonprofit organization. And with the help of my husband and my best friend, who has also recently experienced an infant loss.
Mm,
So we have three different people on the board who have three different experiences. We have a husband,
hmm.
significant other who had to watch his spouse, me, go
Yeah.
through pregnancy loss, infertility, and then you have my best friend who has dealt with infant loss. She lost her daughter at 7 months. And so
Mhm.
now we have all these different spectrums of people surrounding these ladies and families who are dealing with this. And so it's such a powerful um, experience, a powerful group of individuals who are
Mhm.
really, really looking forward to help families and help
Mhm.
women deal with this grief and loss that we've all been through.
Mhm. And this is based out of Austin, Texas, right?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today and such a wonderful interview. I appreciate you sharing your story. I'm sure, it's not an easy thing to talk about, but thank you so much for writing this book and helping, a lot of women that can, relate to this. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention today or any website that you'd like to share with us today?
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for so much for letting me be able to spread more awareness about my book, Incompetent but Hopeful, and also spread awareness about my nonprofit organization, the Goodwin Family Project. Um, for everybody listening, thank you for listening. You could definitely purchase my book, Incompetent but Hopeful, from Westbow Press or from major distributors like Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But you could also subscribe to my blog where I make updates of my life and share all the exciting things that's going on with me and my family. You can subscribe on incompetentbuthopeful.com, and you can also purchase books from there. We also have the goodwinfamilyproject.com. That is where if you are struggling and recently lost your baby or infant or pregnancy, you can sign up and submit an application to receive financial assistance with burial and cremation costs. And if you would also like to donate or partner, you can go to thegoodwinfamilyproject.com to do that there as well. Um, we're so excited. If you want to follow my family on YouTube, we are Goodwin Season is GOODWINSZN. And you can watch us travel. We do homeschool, we do beekeeping, we do gardening.
Oh.
And yeah, that's the good ones.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Morgan, for being here. And thank you for listening. And I will see you guys all in my next interview.